Good morning, Unity of Greensboro. I was asked to write a song to welcome you to your service, and so I wrote this for you with the hopes that it makes you feel just as warm as you could possibly feel, okay? So settle in. Good morning, I hope you woke up today remembering how wonderful you are. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Remember where you've been, remember how you've come so far. And I know, some days it feels like the words can't help themselves but to come out wrong. And I know I can't be the one to tell you what you have to say, but I can tell you it's been in you all along. So sit down, stay a while. I know you've had the engine running for miles, but this is a place to rest your bones. So sit down, stay well. I know we've got heartache to reconcile, but just remember, my friend, in the end, you're never ever alone. You're never ever alone. Good morning, I hope you're remembering to breathe today. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you're listening to what your heart has got to say. And I know, sometimes it can feel like there ain't a place in reach where we belong. And I know, sometimes every step you take just turns you right around and proves you wrong. So sit down, stay well. I know you've had the engine running for miles, but this is a place to rest your bones. So sit down, stay well. I know we've got heartache to reconcile, but just remember, my friend, in the end, you're never ever alone. You're never ever alone. Oh, you're never ever alone.
So welcome to Unity in Greensboro. What a beautiful message to recognize that we're never, ever alone. And it's wonderful for me right now to see all of your smiling faces and recognize that I have this wonderful community of people to share a spiritual journey with. So let us take this time now to, I just realized y'all can't see me. Thank you. Take this time now to just start off our time together in prayer. Sweet, sweet Spirit, we take this moment to gather in our energies so that we may be fully present in this time together, fully present to the promptings of the Holy Spirit in us, fully present to the music as it speaks directly to our souls, fully present to the message on necessary partnerships today, fully present to the power of love and faith in our lives. Let us just breathe that in. And let us use our imaginations to see past this time of unrest and instead know that we are a part of ushering in a new era of peace, kindness, love, and joy. We know that we are divine. So we call on the divinity in us to be our guide, our way shower. We feel the presence of the Holy Spirit right now in this gathering, in us. And we celebrate its expressing through us as us. And for this, we are grateful. And so together we say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. Now's the time to invite your loved ones to check us out and take a moment to share our stream on Facebook and YouTube. Liking, sharing, and subscribing are ways you can let people know you are a loving part of this wonderful community. Now we're going to take a moment for everyone on Zoom to unmute and greet one another. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, please post a greeting.
Hello.
Hello, my friend.
Hi there, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Lizzie.
Welcome, everyone. Hi,
Yes.
everyone.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
I miss you, Jubilee.
Welcome, Karen.
You're welcome.
That's my sister and my brother-in-law from Ohio. This Miss Jubilee.
Hi there. I can only see your arm, brother-in-law.
Hi, Eileen, and Kim, and Debbie, and Ashley, and ARP,
Wanna put your
all
head
our
up.
non-camera folks.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have
Hello,
you.
everybody.
It's Bill.
Hi,
Yeah,
Bill.
I didn't recognize you.
Good morning.
Stylish today.
Morning.
Morning, Judy. Good morning,
Hi,
Chandrika.
Hi.
So now welcome, Debbie. Welcome, Eileen. Welcome, Kim. Welcome,
Hi, Dawn.
Miranda.
Hi. Hi.
Hey, Chip.
Hi, Jean. They're saying.
Hi.
Hello.
Ashley.
Hey, Miranda.
Good to see everybody, isn't it? That's wonderful.
It is. It is.
Shirley, it's good to see you too. I haven't seen
Good
you in
to
a
be
while. Well, we've seen
seen.
you more frequently. But Liz, yes, Liz. Wow, thank you.
We haven't seen it
Really
forever.
nice to see. Didn't come back.
Hi, Dawn.
All righty. Good to see some people we haven't seen in a while. And now if you'll join me in reading our affirmations, they will be on the screen. Our affirmations for May are: God's power is my power and I use it wisely. Faith opens doors where my human mind sees no doors. And now we'll have our call to worship song performed by Marian Spruill.
And then come down. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And hit my music. Okay. Let me see which one it is. It's this one.
Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful. 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 Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful. 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 Come on, let's do it again. Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful. 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 I'm so grateful.
Thank you, Marian. I just love that song. And now if you will please join me in affirming Unity's 5 foundational principles. They'll be on the screen. There is only one ultimate power in the universe. That power is God, and its nature is absolute, unchanging good. Human beings were created from absolute good, and so our inherent nature is also good. We call the inherent goodness of human beings the Christ. Our thoughts are our creative power. Whatever we persistently focus our thoughts and feelings upon manifests in our lives. Prayer and meditation are essential elements of the spiritual life because they focus our thoughts on oneness with God and all creation. It is not enough to know the truth. We must put that truth into action in our lives. We must live the truth we know. And now for Charlotte again.
I am your prayer chaplain for today. So no matter what you may be growing through, I am honored to pray with you. And to be included in our prayer list or to ask for private prayer, we have 3 ways that you can contact us. First is on the UIG website, and you can click prayer request at the top of the page. The second way is the prayer request link on our weekly newsletter. And last but not least, you may email us at prayersfromuig@gmail.com. So let's take a moment now and let the names of the people for whom you specifically would like prayers to surface. Just let those names surface in your mind and heart now. And then imagine yourself dropping their names into the guide can. And now I invite you to hold these loved ones in prayer, along with the people on our prayer list today. Linda Pearson, Danielle Voss, Essence Voss, Barbara Janney, Patricia McGregor, and Patrick Stanley. Together, let us affirm that these loved ones are whole, perfect, and complete. We are standing with them knowing that God is already actively working in partnership with each person to grow them through the appearance of challenges. So from this place of truth, this realization of everyone's innate perfection, we hold the intention of wholeness for those on our prayer list today, ourselves, our loved ones, our city, our state, our country, our world. We are filled with deep gratitude for that God presence within us, knowing that in all moments, in every place, that presence is with us and loves us unconditionally. We are truly blessed. May we feel deep within our souls peace and goodwill towards all people and all situations, in the sure knowledge that wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you for that beautiful prayer, Charlotte. And now for our announcements. And at the top of our announcements, I'd like Wally to come on. He has a special announcement.
Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to keep everybody in the loop of where we are and what's going on. As you know, new announcements were made from the governor and CDC this week. And, we have a landlord who has been making the decision so far on the building. And the session met, that's what they call their board, the Tuesday before. It seems like everything changed on Wednesday. But their decision on that Tuesday was to keep the building closed for one more month while they figured out, the dangers of some variants and that sort of thing. And they expect to open up very soon after their meeting in June, which I believe is on June 8th. So we then are in the process, thanks to Miranda, and Miranda and Bill are going to get together, and we're in the process of buying some new equipment so that when we're back in person, we can keep streaming for the people who need to or want to keep distanced at home. And so we're working on getting that equipment. And our plan will be to test that equipment out with the celebration team going back into the space first and everyone else remaining home a little bit longer. So it is not set yet, but the plan right now is that the last Sunday in June, I believe that's the 27th, we're going to have service at a park. I think we're shooting for the Jamestown Park, but that is not set yet. The plan is we will do an in-person service in a park on the last Sunday of June, and then the first Sunday of July, which is July 4th, we expect to be back in the church space and streaming as well. If we do this park thing, we may be able to stream. My plan is, as a backup, that I will record something in advance that we can put on Facebook and YouTube for people who need streaming. But we just want you all to know what's going on with that. And I didn't ask Pat about saying this first, but just so you all know, the board also has hired Miranda to come on board to start working social media. And really, I'm not the person that should describe exactly what she's going to be doing, but she's going to be helping us in marketing and getting the word out in all the other ways. And truthfully, she's going to be doing more, but in part, she's going to start getting paid for stuff she's already been doing for us for free for some time that people make a full living on. So we want to, give our thanks to Miranda for stepping up to help us with that. And we want you all to know that we are working on plans and we're figuring out ways. We hope to get Dr. Elizabeth Vaughn to come on to a service sometime soon, maybe in the next couple of weeks, and then do a Q&A right after service with everyone so we can ask questions about what is the COVID safety. Because I want to make it clear, when that announcement came out, everybody's been saying the CDC said we can all take our mask off. Not what they said. What they said was you can take your mask off inside and out if you have been vaccinated. There are some people that for their own personal reasons are going to choose not to be vaccinated. And if we're truly inclusive, like we say we are, then we have to honor that too. And that means that we just have to make provisions for them to be allowed to make their decisions and all of us to still make decisions that are safe for everyone. I take really strongly the responsibility that myself and the board have to make decisions that could affect the health of other people. And so we're working on that constantly. If you have concerns or questions, let us know. Be prepared to ask Dr. Vaughn when we're able to get her on. Just want to let you know all that's going on. And lastly, as we move forward, the board really, Chip, was able to negotiate a massive rent reduction for us in this last year during the pandemic. And as we move back into the space, that negotiation happened because we weren't using the space. So we have some months that we don't live in the black. And that's a goal that the board's been talking about that we really want to bring forward to the whole church. And here's what I'm saying to you all. I am taking it on faith that everybody's giving at the comfort level of where they're able to give. But know that at that level, we often have to dip into, reach into other funds because we're not living in the black. So find something that you can take ownership of in the church is what I'm inviting you to do. We came up with this idea for the spring festival that made about $1,000 for the church, roughly. There are things you all can do. Trudy's been talking about the previous creative connections that people used to do. So start thinking of ways that you can help raise money for the church without having to reach deeper in your own pocket is what I want to say. If you don't want to do the work and you can reach deeper in your own pocket, do that. But I'm just saying we collectively, I'm inviting us to take on the dream of living in the black all the time in our own lives. And as we do it in our own lives, we can do it for the church as well. That was a really long announcement, but there you go. I'll give it back to Brenda now.
Thank you, Wally. That is good news. All of that is good news. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. And now back to our regular announcements. We have Wednesday, May 26th is open. If there is a discussion or a class you'd like to lead or participate in, please email the UIG activities at uigactivities@gmail.com. We want to celebrate everyone. If you have graduated from anything, we want to know, whether it be our youth changing schools or our adults newly licensed, any transition up in your school, life, or career. We'd like to include you in our graduation celebration. Please email Miranda at Miranda Nichols, and I'll spell that MIRANDANICHOLECSE@gmail.com. And I'm sure that will be in the bulletin as well. And somebody put it in the chat. Thank you. We have group meditation on all levels, Wednesday, May 19th at 6:15. And then finally, UIG has fast, easy, and secure ways to tithe. One way is to text GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 336-600-1064 and follow the prompts. You can go through the donate link on the UIG website or Facebook page, or you can mail a check the good old fashioned way to 501 South Minden Hall in Greensboro. And now we have special music performed by Karen Evans. I feel like Karen is one of ours now. Karen has toured the world as a Raylette, singing backup for Ray Charles. Her voice vibrates the love of God into your soul. Let's join together in welcoming Karen Evans.
Good morning, Unity in Greensboro. This is a fun song. It's just like a chant. I just want to thank you, Lord, because nobody loves me like you do. I just want to thank you, Lord. I just want to thank you, Lord. I just want to thank you, Lord, because nobody loves me like you. Oh, wait, okay. My tape is gone crazy on me. Hold on, Unity. We got to redo this. It went to a whole nother track. One time. Come on, CD, don't go crazy on me now. We still thanking the Lord. Let's try that again. Yeah. I'll say it again. I just want to thank you, Lord. I just want to thank you, Lord. I just want to thank you, Lord, because nobody loves me like you do. I just want to thank you, Lord. I just want to thank you, Lord. I just want to thank you, Lord, because nobody loves me like you do. I just want to thank you. I just gotta thank you, Lord, because nobody loves me like you do. I just wanna thank you, Lord. I just got to thank you, Lord. Oh, because nobody loves me like you do. I wanna thank you. I got to thank you. I wanna thank you because you're good to me. Oh yes, I wanna thank you. I got to thank you. I wanna thank you because you're good to me. You're so good to me. Oh yeah. You are so good to me. I gotta thank you. I wanna thank you because you're so good to me every day, in every way. I gotta thank you because you're so good to me. I just wanna thank you. Just got to thank you. Just wanna thank you because you're so good to me. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord, because you're good to me. Yeah, I gotta thank you. Oh yes, I wanna thank you because you're good to me. You're so good to me. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Karen. And thank you all for being here with us, whether you're with us on Zoom or Facebook Live or watching us later on Facebook or YouTube. Thank you for participating and being a part of our church family and this wonderful community that we have together. So as we go into the lesson, I want to invite you to get into whatever your comfortable prayer position is. I like to get both of my feet solidly on the ground. Close your eyes if that's comfortable. Just take in a good deep breath. Hold it and let it go. And allow yourself to relax into this moment right now. Being fully present in this moment. Just saying, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for I know that you are good to me, as the song said. I know that you are good to me. I know it. I don't think it. I don't hope it. I am grateful because I know it. And as I do that, I also know that I am one with God. So I allow myself to be good to me. And in this moment, as we move forward into this lesson, I affirm that I open my mind, my ears, my heart, so that I may hear what I need to hear to inspire me to do what I need to do within my own life. That is my prayer for myself. That is my prayer for everyone who hears this prayer and is participating in it. I love you. I bless you. I let it be well. I let it be whole. I let it be so. And so it is, and amen. All right, so I'm going to read some excerpts from the book that we're using for our overall lesson for the whole year, which is the How to Live in the Circle of Prayer and Make Your Dreams Come True. And in this chapter on faith, she spent some time talking about how there is a necessary partnership between love and faith. In fact, without love, you really can't get faith off the ground very well. That you need that love within it so that you've got something to hold on to while you're doing it. And as I was going through and preparing the lesson and thinking about the different things to talk about, and in fact, even thinking about other necessary partnerships in our lives, one of the things that really came to me is this, that having ideas, thinking in general, is necessary for us to live our happiest and our best life. Our minds are constantly in need of something to be ruminating about, to be working on, to be thinking about in some way. Our minds never stop. When we go to sleep, it's dreaming and sometimes working out some things that we were thinking about before, right? Before we went to sleep, or it coming up with some things that can inspire us to what we're doing the next day. Now, you can say in that, well, I know some lumps on the log that sit and just watch TV all day. They're not doing anything. Let me tell you from experience, as a common lumper on a logger, watching TV, that so you're watching TV often to get your mind into the vicarious living through other people, so you don't have to think about what you're not enjoying in your own life or just what you don't want to do in your own life. It doesn't have to be miserable to watch TV, right? So, but your mind is always working. And so as we recognize that, and not even just accept it, like I guess you could say, no, I don't accept that if you want to, but I challenge you to find a time. Look, when we say, even in meditation, one of the goals of meditation is to kind of shut down our thinking, right? That's not actually even completely possible. Our goal is to shut down our conscious thinking so that we can get to that deeper inner teacher, the God that is one with us, and get to that information. There's still information rolling through this brain all the time. So when we know that, then the question comes, why not put some effort into thinking about things we want to think about, into creating things we want to create, as opposed to just taking what rolls along? Because the thinking's going to keep going, just like life is always going to keep rolling forward. So it's like, why not participate in it and have some hands in guiding it, as opposed to the gamble of what might come up on its own otherwise, right? So let me look at a couple of things. Chris, can you, no, well, let me do this other part first and let Chris, okay, there's Chris. Can you bring up the circle of prayer? I want you all to look at this while I read this part that she wrote on page 80. And so she says there are 12 parts to the whole circle of creative prayer, or the power to say, let there be. We began our project with the first movement by recognizing our desire and naming it. Next, we decided to accept this work assignment from God. Then we asked for it in prayer and have come under the law of love. We do not want to harm anyone else and are willing that all men should have as much good as we have. Now we face, I don't like that she said this, but I'll read what she said afterwards. Now we face the problem of faith, and we face it, we must. There simply is no hope of making our dreams come true unless we have faith. So that's where we, let me keep this up for one more second, because this becomes one of the partnerships that we can look at as well. And we're going to talk about this more. She goes into this in the chapter on work, which we'll be looking at next month. But one of the things that's built into this circle is that next month, we start having a pattern that we can see partnerships within these 12 steps of the circle of prayer, because the 6 start to partner with the next 6. In other words, desire matches up with your thoughts, and work, number 6, matches up with number 12, rest. So they go back in that order. Number 1 matches up with number 7, and decision matches up with your spoken word. You make a decision, then you speak about it, right? You ask, and then you listen. And so these are the kinds of different partnerships we have. Now, I say that, and then I say also love and faith are partners. Okay, you can take it back down now, Chris. Thanks. Because there are lots of different partnerships that will help balance us out and help us do things. When we look at the 12 powers of man that we teach here at Unity, all of those powers are strong and important in and of themselves. And yet we find that when we match up different ones, that they help us even more when we give thought to. It's kind of like cooking in the kitchen, and you pick the ingredients that work for this dish versus this dish. And it's like, and now you're cooking in the mind, and you're matching up what works on this desire, which becomes a dream, versus this desire that becomes a dream. But one of the key ingredients in all spirituality is love. In fact, if you think in on love and you start intentionally using love in the decisions that you make and in the words that you speak, I shouldn't say you, we, I'm really talking to me, that then all the other things, whether we're talking about the 12 powers of man or whether we're talking about the 12 steps within the circle of prayer, everything else falls into place a little bit easier, right? Because faith is one of these things that works best when we're not even thinking about it, because we put the faith in it, and now we move about where you don't keep hoping, right? We talked about the other night, we did a dream check-in. I hope more of you will join us for some of those. We have some great discussions during it. And, one of the things we talked about is that many of us have had, and definitely me, have had success from this work already just by putting the intent out. Here's a dream I want to work on. And then, like, I booked that part in a movie. I didn't even really feel like I had put the work of the 12 steps into it yet. I just said, that's something I know I want to work on. And then I'd gone about just studying the steps. Now, I wasn't thinking about that dream. I was just studying the steps to get the understanding. And that became the fertilizer for something. And so when we talked, we were saying it's kind of like if you plant a seed and you do all the stuff. So now the seed's underground. And then every day you go back and dig it back up to check to see how it's doing. It can't possibly grow. And so as we're picking our desires and making them the dreams that will come true, we don't then constantly be like, okay, how's that dream doing? All right, I really hope. So when we say even we're doing a dream check-in, I'm not saying, so what are you doing for this dream every day? Are you, no, it's because I've planted it and now I'm practicing faith because I'm working in partnership with God on everything I do. Now, here is my spiritual belief and is my truth is I am one with God. That means that I am working in partnership with God all day, every day. When I took a shower earlier, God was taking a shower too. When I ate a bowl of chocolate Cheerios earlier, God was eating some Cheerios, right? So it didn't have to be deep. It can be deep, but it doesn't have to be. So it's going to happen anyway, right? But when I say, come on, God, let's work on this and put that consciousness in, I'm not on my own. I don't have to figure this out by myself. I don't have to say, I don't know how to do this. I can say, all right, God, we need to do this. So I need you to help me figure out the best way to get this done because we're working in partnership. That is a necessary partnership in all that you do. Because when you do that on purpose, I often describe it in saying, God's not rude. God's not forcing God on any of us, right? We were given the gift of free will. God's not taking that back from us. We get to choose. We can choose the rocky, bumpy, really tough road to travel, or we can take the Lear jet, right? Both options are always available in the choices that we make. And sometimes we're going to go on some different roads, right? So, all right, let me read a little bit more of what she had to say here within this partnership with the love and faith. She says here on page 81 that man always is saved or lost from the inside. Now that is deep, right? Man is always saved or lost from the inside because we act from the heart. We believe from the total of what we have stored up in our heart as truth. She goes on a little bit lower in the page. She says, we need a deep belief, an utter conviction that everything is all right. Everything always has been all right, and everything always will be all right. That is the definition of faith. We talk about faith being defined as the things hoped for, not seen yet. That's true. But the definition of using faith is holding on to no matter what's in front of me, no matter what's going on, everything is all right. Now, I'll tell you that this has been a challenging week for me because a man who I say a high school friend, but the truth is we became friends in 5th grade. And as I stood at his grave this week and did the math, we had been friends for 41 years. And 33 of those years, he had a drug addiction and had come on and off of it. And we had celebrated when it seemed like he had overcome it, and then something would happen, right? And there was a period in that when I felt the need, and many of my other friends felt the need to step back, right? Because now, we're showing up at parents' houses and anyway. But I loved from afar even then, right? And then there comes a time, and this is where the taking a choice about what you're thinking about or shifting it, like when you're standing there and then you still say, everything is all right. Everything always has been all right. Everything is working out all right now. That's a little bit tougher of a pill to swallow, right? And then after the service, his sister came up and started telling us stuff that I didn't really want to know. Information about the final days. And I'd been saying he had a good 5-year stretch. And then it turned out, no, he had a tough time last year. And information started coming out that then I had to work with because now it's in here, right? And then what I know is that no matter what the struggle was, that there was so much love. See, this was someone I envied in high school. That's when I say high school friend, because this guy was charismatic and good looking. You know, one of those two will get you far in life. And he had two of them. I wanted those, right? But that doesn't show the end result of where we are. And I have to say, I think this gives me a laugh. I'll give it to you, and then I'll move on to this next part. Two things my friend loved was Duke basketball and fishing. And his ashes have been buried in a Duke blue tackle box. So, you know, I've got to find joy and love in that, because I know that there's joy and love, you know, from him. And I can't come out and say that life is eternal and then stay down in the dumps because my friend died, right? He released the body that had issues, and he continues to live on, right? And so, but this is true. It doesn't have to be a life or death thing. That's just something that's come up for me this week. But as we work on whatever it is that we do, we may have had a dream years ago that was so challenging that we decided to walk away from. I've had those. And so we've allowed those dreams to die. But we have the power to, if it keeps coming back to us, then there's something in it we might want to pick up and see if maybe there's just an aspect of it we want to grab hold of and bring back to life and pull forward. Know that you have that power, that you have that ability, and that we've been all given these wonderful lessons that we're working on now to make those sorts of things come true. I, as always, have more marked down than I'm going to get to. So let me read one more area here, and then I want to talk about the biblical story that I pulled up as well. So she says on page 84, acts of love develop faith. And then she says, be a little lower, reward for good behavior, punishment for misbehavior have become a part of our heart by the time we have grown. We consciously and unconsciously carry this belief over into our thoughts about our relationship with God. We start to think, oh, well, I've been punished because I did bad. God is love. Love does not punish. The human experience sometimes requires that, but God is love all the time. God is good all the time. So what we often feel as a punishment is because consciously we're not linked in, we're not acting in partnership with the God self of ourselves. And so it feels bad. And that feeling bad feels like a punishment or feels like something that can be, it's a real moment. I'm not taking that away from anybody. That feeling bad is a real moment. It is also an opportunity to say, if I feel this way, I'm not consciously connected in to my God self, God truth. Let me get there. Now, some people say that that's a encouragement to stick your head in the sand, to stop paying attention to things going on around you that you don't like, to think of good stuff. Do that. Because the things that need to be corrected, that you are going to be able to correct, if you put yourself in your God mind, you're going to be able to handle much better anyway. And if you get yourself in a God mind and it's something you couldn't help fix, then it wasn't yours to fix in the first place. And the best gift you gave yourself was to step away from it so that you could go back to creating good in your life and world and affairs. Because when you do that within the only thing you have control of, which is yourself, it spreads and it goes out into the world. You can't create good in your human experience without somebody else getting a little bit of it. So, but you also can't create it for someone else if you're not accepting some of it for yourself. Because for it to come from that genuine place, it's got to come through you before it can ever get to them. So you have to take that moment to kind of check in and do it for yourself. In the preparation for this too, kind of a question that came up was, can superheroes exist without villains? See, it's like, what's the old saying, the Superman has come to save the day? Save the day from what? Right? So what is there to save if there isn't a villain? Now, I'm not saying go look for villains. I'm not saying go look for bad experiences, but I'm saying that when you find yourself amongst them, know that there is a superhero available. That is the God stuff within you, that whatever the negative moment is, you're a breath away, meaning take that breath and release the moment, as I start all my prayers with. You're that one breath away from saving the day from the negativity by having that one thing that you can picture in your mind. Or I have a friend from years and years ago that had a laugh that I can think of. You can't think of that laugh without smiling. And sometimes that one smile will break the moment, right? I'm just going to touch on real quick in the book of 1 Samuel, there's the story of Hannah, who was Samuel's mother. And Hannah was one of two wives, and the other wife, her name's complicated. I'm not going to try and say it right now, but it doesn't matter because we're talking about Hannah. Other wife had kids. Hannah didn't have any. Hannah's husband still loved her more. It said when would get food, he'd give food to the kids and the other wife and would give Hannah double inch because he loved her more, right? But she still felt incomplete because she didn't have her own child. Now, metaphysically, when we're reading the Bible, the second children come up, we're talking about ideas. And ideas are the desires that we're working on and turning into the manifestations of things in our lives so that we're working on purpose, right? And so Hannah had finally, when they would make an annual trip to give their offerings, and it was a worship experience for them. And she said, if you'll please just give me a son, I will devote that son's whole life to God, right? And she did. She kept the child. She got pregnant, which became Eli. And as soon as she could wean him off, she gave him to the prophet, right? And it sounds, when you hear those stories, you're like, wait, you wanted a child your whole life and you got one and then you gave it away, right? But when we go metaphysically, she wanted a new idea. She felt desperate because she was in a time where she felt like she had what we would call writer's block, right? Like there was just no good ideas to have her mind working on. So she felt idle and she felt bad. And then she got this that she devoted out. That became Eli, which is metaphysically the intellect under spiritual discipline, right? So that's our thinking under a spiritual discipline. And once she got there, she then had 5 more kids, right? So what we're saying metaphysically in that is once you take that time and you're like, no, I'm working on divine ideas right now. I'm working in partnership with God for whatever is going to work best through me that's divine out into the world. I accept that that can happen through me, first of all. I accept that I am worthy and able to work with God and manifest with and from God out into my life, world, and affairs. And when I do that, that opens the door and all these other ideas in an area that I before was saying, well, I don't know how to do that, or I'm not qualified to do that, or I don't, or I can't, or the blah, 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 right? That when you release that and you get into the God is working through me, to me, for me, and as me right now. And you accept that, often you say that right before bed, you'll wake up with the new idea. If not immediately while you're taking your shower or pulling stuff together, suddenly, boom, it'll pop out. And once that pops out and you allow it to start growing into fruition, into manifestation, then all the other ideas start flowing through as well. You are magnificent childs of God, children of God. I wanted to say child of God, and then I made that plural. So just know that about yourself. You are whole, perfect, and complete because you are one with God. And when you allow yourself to love yourself in that way, then you've got the faith. If there's an area that you're working on that the faith feels shaky, working on faith in that moment is just going to acknowledge where the shaky feels are. So the necessary partnership in that is to pull back to find something loving within yourself And then you can go back and revisit the faith area. And look at that in all parts of your life. If there's an area that feels shaky, working on the shaky is probably just going to create more shakes. And that's going to tip the boat, right? So unless you want to go swimming, think about something else instead of the shaky, right? I love you. I bless you. I behold the Christ in you. I look forward to continue working on manifesting our dreams and working on our necessary partnerships together. And I thank you all for being here. So now is the time that we give to the church. And as Brenda said before, you can text that, you can click donate buttons on our website and on Facebook and in the e-blast, or you can send an old-fashioned check that is now not being forwarded. It's going directly to the church. However, you know that you're going to give. If you have that with you, I invite you to place it in both your hands. If not, I invite you to think about your gift and your opening of new ways to create more giving within the church, and place your hands on your heart and let us all say this together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. And now Karen is going to sing us, I think, the perfect song about faith.
Yes. Why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely and long for heaven and home when Jesus is my portion? A constant friend is he. Oh, his eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. Oh, his eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches you and me. Oh, I sing because I'm happy. Oh, I sing because I'm free. Yeah. Oh, I know his eyes is on the sparrow, me. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen. Beautiful. What a wonderful affirmation that we know that we are being surrounded in love all times. So let us take a moment of quiet again to tune into our heart space and just experience these are many, many blessings. And from this place of appreciation and joy, we turn our attention to the gifts we joyfully offer in support of our ministry. A ministry that serves us and nourishes us. A ministry we take joy in supporting with our time, talent, and treasure. We bless this ministry. We see it growing and reaching out, touching others with its powerful message of oneness, unity, and love. We lift up our hands and infuse our love offerings with energy, gratitude, and love, and dedicate it to our awakening and the awakening of all humankind. Together, we transform our lives and co-create a prosperous spiritual community that blesses the world. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Charlotte, and thank you, Karen, and thank you all for being here today and whatever platform you're with us on. I do want to remind you that this Wednesday at 6:15 on the 617 Zoom number, there will be a meditation. Charlotte, you want to unmute? Oh, you're going to be leading it? Okay. And so please join for that. And then next Sunday, something else that is talked about in this chapter on faith that we're going to delve into is Joseph and his many colors. And our musician next week is a lady that is a friend of a friend. I know her through people. I thought she was in LA when I reached out to her, but I brag on Karen and Kim for joining us at 7:30 in the morning their time. Faith Rivera is going to join us. If you don't know the name, look her up on YouTube. She's got a lot of good music you can listen to. When I reached out, I thought she was in LA. She's gone home to help family in Hawaii. So she will be Zooming in at 4:30 a.m. her time to be a part of our service next Sunday. So if she can get up at 4:30, you know you all got to be here too and tell other people to come too, right? So anyway, that's next Sunday. And then, of course, we're going to, in a moment, unmute and let everyone chat for a moment. And then we're going to move into a conversation that Linda, as part of our adult ed team, will lead that conversation. And we invite you to stay for us with that on Zoom as well. But before we depart, let us all say the prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. All right, we say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube and invite everyone here on Zoom to unmute.
Thank you, Wally.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you.